We are here live in London with Dr. Chopra, and we are getting ready for a big summit, which I see it as a movement because it never ever has been a better time than now to be a woman. And maybe it feels like it's a universal plan that the world, this planet, the universe, the humanity needs women now more than ever. So I see it in two sides. One side as a thank you for living at this time as a woman, that I have a voice, I have a presence, that I have opportunities to be seen and to be heard. But in the other side, I see it as a contribution that I'm giving to the world to bring a different perspective, to bring something different, a shift, an uplift, an upshift. This is how we're calling the summit. So according to you, how would you define the definition of, how would you define the feminine energy today and how that is contributing to the world?
Well, women have always given throughout the ages. They've given to their families, they've given to their children, they've given to their communities. The shift right now is a necessary shift where women are empowered to be leaders and entrepreneurs and business leaders and political leaders, because that stage of our evolution, which maximized what we call the male energy for survival reasons, is over. The masculine energy was necessary when we were hunter-gatherers, and the only way to survive was to hunt and kill and conquer and be a predator. That's how tribal groups survived. But we're not in the jungle anymore, so we need a leadership that emphasizes truth and goodness and beauty and harmony and love and compassion and empathy and joy, and an empowerment that also includes what we call the divine feminine energies. Now, when I speak of the divine feminine energies, I'm speaking of archetypal energies and states of awareness that are dominantly in women, but men can cultivate them. And when we actually have access to these archetypal energies or states of information and energy, there are certain dominant themes. Power, but a power that nurtures, not that fractures. Of course, the whole energy of motherhood, the energy of Aphrodite, of beauty and sexuality and love, the energy of the Greek archetype Artemis, connection with nature and conservation, the homemaker, of course, Persephone, the subconscious mind in healing and alchemy. When you take all these different energies, I think if we can enter women empowerment with this deeper understanding of the divine feminine and reach a critical mass, we can hope for a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier and joyful world.
Wow, thank you so much. It absolutely, it feels like has been a natural process, a kind of progress that you don't need to push it, you don't need to force it, you don't need to even emphasize it, or it's something obvious that as part of the human development, as part of the whole shift that the whole world is experiencing. It's this high level of consciousness. Now it's called woman. And do you think that we are both sides, like women and men, are embracing this shift, that women are stepping naturally to a new role, a new position, a new responsibility, and claiming it and honoring it, and making sure that yes, you are able to take possession of it, because for some reasons, some people, and sometimes it's so hard to, even when it shows in front of you, it's so hard to accept it. As a woman, for example, when I had my calling, I felt like, whoa, this is scary. Is this my role now? Is this a new role? How the subconscious mind works when we are introduced with such a universal shift, and you have been called for something new that didn't, it was not as a position before. It didn't exist as a position before. We are creating new positions for women. So how would you explain this?
I think it's a natural evolution of consciousness, and you don't have to um, be too actively, um, militantly activist about it. There is such a thing called sacred activism, which means you harness your energies collectively. When there is shared vision, diversity of opinion and talent, and ethnicity and education, which women have, shared vision, maximum diversity, emotional and spiritual bonding, and leveraging of everyone's strengths, then the shift happens spontaneously. Having said that, when there are major shifts in society, there's always turbulence and anxiety as well. These are called phase transitions, like when water becomes steam, there's turbulence. But once the steam emerges, then the turbulence is gone. So one can expect resistance from fearful, um, from fearful factors, that also from men to some extent who are used to their power, and influence peddling and cronyism, and all of that, but also from women who feel anxious about this change. That kind of turbulence is natural when there's an evolutionary leap, and we accept it.
Thank you. And thank you. Coming from you, it feels like so empowering and inspiring. So when someone have that calling and is scared and is feeling anxious, and you say it's natural, it's normal, what would be your suggestion? How do we respond to that calling? How do we, because it's like once something reaches to your mind, otherwise I describe it as a way like your individual mind is part of the universal mind. If somehow, for some reason, something has reached your mind, like for example, I wake up in the morning and I don't know how did I get this power of thinking to believe that I can have Deepak Chopra in my summit. So you feel something has reached you, and it keeps staying with you, and it keeps staying with you. You're scared, you try to avoid it, and then you say, who am I to reject this universal idea that has reached me? I'm just giving an example. So when something reaches our mind and it's bigger than ourselves, it's bigger than anything we have done in the past, how can we naturally welcome it and honor it and build confidence upon it?
We surrender to it with grace and acceptance and gratitude.
It's that simple. Okay. Also, yeah, we talk a lot about consciousness, and we are doing, especially now with as we're talking. For me, I'm a big campaigner for women empowerment, and for me, it's very important that we help women to raise the level of awareness, to help them to reach the higher self, the higher thinking, to believe on themselves, to believe on something bigger. So can you maybe explore a little bit on that? What is the best way that we can create as a model or as a movement to make women feel that they are not there just for themselves, but when they are standing for something, they are standing also for the next generation?
I think the major key is to bring awareness of what is happening, but also tools for transformation and leadership. These are easily available now, and each person who has access to these tools will take it at their own level of awareness. So, we have biological responses that start at the fight flight response to the ego response to restful awareness to intuition to creativity to higher vision to transcendence. The tools are available and I'm happy to offer them, but then each person will take them to their own level of awareness and then move, transcend, and include what they learn. Um, but ultimately, a global movement needs both online and offline communities where people pay attention and listen to each other, where people communicate with each other through affection, where people notice the uniqueness of each person, and where people accept each other just as they are. We have such a movement already for mental well-being. It's called neveralone.love. It can be replicated for any vision. The key is, as I said, communities of service, communities of engagement, communities that have spiritual practice and higher purpose. Three words come to mind. Seva in Sanskrit means service, Sangha in Sanskrit means community, and sadhana, which means a daily practice that we can share of reflection, of a contemplative inquiry, of meditation, of mindfulness. When you employ these tools, then evolution progresses at a much faster way. And today we have technologies to do that.
Yeah, and that absolutely what you just shared. It's incredible because it reminds me that these tools, for example, have been for me for a long time, but I didn't see them. So why, for some reasons, things are available out there, tools are available out there, but why some people don't have the ability to see them and some people do? What is the difference?
It's basically how we are influenced by social media and news and social constructs which basically encourage people to conform. And there's a lot of creativity that is missing because we are so automatically influenced by the social mind, which frankly speaking is insane. The collective mind has created climate change, nuclear weapons, poison in our food chain, social, economic injustice, gender injustice, extinction of species. If we don't correct this, we are sleepwalking to extinction.
Yeah, you are reminding me. I had a conversation with Dr. Erwin Laszlo, a dear friend of both of us, and as we were having going deep into these levels of what can we do to save the planet, he just ended this interview. He reminded me, he said, we still have some hope, but we don't have that much time. I would love to have your perspective on this. So does this planet still have hope?
I don't like the word hope.
Okay.
Hope is a sign of despair. If you don't have despair, you don't need hope. So what you need is creativity. And this is a moment of collective harnessing our collective creativity. And there's no limit to human creativity. We've used our imagination for destructive purposes. Now we can use the same imagination with the Divine Feminine for a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier, and joyful world. So the answer to your question is, we are at a crossroads. One crossroad leads to extinction. The other leads to harnessing our collective creativity for a joyful world.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I believe especially it's very important that we take responsibility of our own life, of our own self, because many people feel hopeless, many people feel powerless, many people feel they don't have choices, they don't have the power to have decisions. So by listening to everything you have been sharing to create like a big pool of library for content in the world, and all your books, more than 90 books, we have these sources out there, and you show us that it is possible. No matter where you're coming from, the past doesn't exist. Yesterday doesn't exist. You can create a new opportunity every single day. So I would really appreciate if you deepen into this message a little bit more for someone who probably is feeling depressed, or probably is feeling powerless, and thinking that I can't do anything with my life because of my past.
I think despair, anxiety, fear, depression are products of the separate mind, or we can say the ego mind, which is a socially induced hallucination. Once we correct that socially induced hallucination, then everyone has the power to create something that never existed before. And to look at our history as a human species, it's been a history of violence. That's what history is about: war and violence. And it was fine when we were tribal populations in basically isolated areas. But today, modern capacities and a medieval tribal mind are very dangerous. So we're at a crossroads, and right now the responsibility and the choice is ours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chopra. Before we close this short conversation, because I know you are here in London for Global Women Summit, and now we'll have the chance to have this conversation in front of a big audience this weekend, I would love to use this opportunity and get one more message directed to women who they feel they want to use their talents, they want to use their gifts, they want to do something with their presence in this world. What would be the Chopra message?
Women have the capacity to create joy, and joy is the only measure of well-being and success. If you don't have joy, you wasted your life. So women have the capacity to bring beauty and intuition and nurturing and healing. And since they have the capacity, they also have the responsibility to make it so.
So thank you so much, ladies. You heard it. Yes, it's true. We have the capacity, we have the resources, we have the power. We are ready now than ever. It's a big calling for all of us to come together, belong to a community, and contribute for a better world. Let's upshift together. Thank you so much, Deepak Chopra.